When Americans hear the word democracy, we're taught to believe that it's the same thing as our system of government. But here's the truth. The United States was founded as a constitutional republic, not a democracy. And the founding fathers were crystal clear about this distinction. It's a pet peeve of mine and my wife's, and in this short video, I hope to clearly define everything so that you too can inform others. Now let's start with defining both of these terms. A democracy is majority rule, pure and simple. The majority decides everything, the laws, policies, and the rights of others directly by vote. The founders feared this type of system, so much so that they made it quite obvious what type of government that they were going to create. James Madison said, quote, "In a pure democracy, there is nothing to check the inducements to sacrifice the weaker party." And that was in Federalist Number 1. In pure democracies, 51% can take away all rights of the remaining 49%. And the founders called this mob rule or tyranny of the majority. Now, let's define a republic, which America actually is. A republic is a system of government where the people elect representatives and where laws, not the whims of a majority, actually govern the nation. A republic places power under a written constitution, separation of powers, checks and balances, and protection of individual rights. Now, all of this was very intentional. Madison wrote, quote, "We may define a republic to be a government which derives all of its powers directly or indirectly from the great body of people." And that was in Federalist Number 39. A republic protects individual liberty and it prevents majority tyranny. The problem is that most Americans haven't even read the Declaration of Independence or our own Constitution, which is sad, especially in today's technology where everything is so readily available. And you don't know what you don't know, right? The founders did not trust democracy. John Adams, one of my favorites, said, "Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself." Benjamin Franklin, when asked what kind of government the Constitution created, famously replied, "A republic if you can keep it." Even Alexander Hamilton noted that democracies, quote, "have been spectacles of turbulence and contention." In short, they did not build a democracy, they built a constitutional republic. And here's something that every American should know. The word democracy appears how many times in the Declaration of Independence and how many times in the Constitution? 0. The Declaration is 1,320 words, and our Constitution has 4,453 words, and none of those words is democracy. It is used sparingly in the Federalist Papers, but only as a warning or negative connotation. They list democracy as unstable systems, vulnerable to mob rule, tyranny, and failed ancient democracy, all of which are negative. The founders intentionally did not use the word democracy because they were smart, they were purposeful, and they knew the dangers that a democracy could create. They likely thought that leaders who followed them, including today's representatives, would be smart enough to know what type of government they're supposed to be leading. Obviously, they overestimated that point. What did our founders call our system instead? A republic. That means a free government. That means representative government, a constitutional government. The Declaration says that we are created equal, endowed by our Creator, and that governments are instituted to secure rights, not to grant them. And just in case you didn't know, we don't receive our rights from pieces of paper, period. The Constitution begins with "we the people," but then immediately separates the powers, divides authority, and limits government. All hallmarks of a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Today, what do you hear every time you watch the news or a politician's spouting their deal? Defend our democracy. We are threats to democracy. We got to save democracy. Every single person who says this is wrong. And everybody who uses the word democracy to describe our form of government is misleading those who actually hear them. So why do you think they do this? And they do it all the time. It's because democracy sounds emotional and unifying, while constitutional republic actually requires some thought, explanation, and more importantly, accountability. Calling America a democracy allows elected officials to sell the idea that whatever the majority wants in the moment must be right. And this is inherently inaccurate, wrong, it's misleading, and I'm hopefully not the only one who's tired of hearing it. But the founders rejected that idea. They designed a system that makes sure that rights can't be voted away, even by 99% of the population. America is not a democracy. It was created as, and still is, a constitutional republic, plain and simple. It does have democratic elements, but it was intentionally built as a constitutional republic, a nation where individual liberty is protected, where the rule of law is supreme, and where the rights of the minority cannot be crushed by the majority. As our Pledge of Allegiance says, and to the republic for which it stands. Elizabeth Powell, a well-known and highly respected socialite, was the one that asked Benjamin Franklin that question when he was exiting Independence Hall after the Constitutional Convention. She said, "Well, doctor, what have we got, a republic or a monarchy?" And as I said before, Franklin said, "A republic if you can keep it." And keeping it begins with understanding what it truly is, and I hope this clears up any misunderstanding or confusion that some may have. You too can help educate and teach people the correct form of government that all of us are under, a republic, not a democracy. Please help spread this message to your friends and family, and I hope the rest of your week is excessively blessed.